I don't know. I really don't know if I'm at liberty to complain. If I think about life today vis-a-vis life then. I mean, I was born in an era of war. Let's say the war that was between 79 and pretty much up to 86. The first one having Idi Amin overthrown, then coming down to the political madness of no government and to Obote and then the NRA, NRM regime. So I remember very well around 1981, 82, 82 British, as a child, being raised from a very humble, poor background. Both my parents, working as servicemen or men in uniform, let's call it. So growing up was very simple, very basic. There was no luxury, there was no extras. It was simply living, and living meant whatever you had for a meal, that was it. There was no extras, let me put it that way. So I remember very well that it was always a struggle to live. When my parents went out in the operation, in the operational zones, we call them. That was in Luero or whatever they were sent. Sometimes they would come back home and you would hear, for instance, where my mother would say, sorry, in Kiswahili, poleni, baba ya rafiki wenyu ameshafariki, amelala kwa porini. So literally meaning in Kiswahili that, sorry, a father to your friend has died and is slept in the jungle. So that was not easy, knowing that your parent was going out on the front line, or sometimes your parent was ambushed, or just knowing that they were going out and you're not sure that they will be coming back home. So that was a tough one, That was a tough one. I'll never forget that moment. And then, of course, came the exciting moments in the war. 85, when the war was at its peak. I must say that we saw the war from a different angle. There was the rebels who have their own experience, but we also saw the war from being children of, of servicemen who were in the government, on the government side. So ours was a bit of a different scenario because one day when Obote was overthrown, I remember 85, my brothers told me, you know what? You cannot just sit here and look at people coming back with things. Let's do something. Let's go out and do something. And we didn't know I didn't understand at that time. I mean, I was 4, he was 6. I didn't understand totally what he was talking about. So he meant, let's go out and loot. Because we kept seeing people coming from down the valley, from Kiseka, running upwards with televisions, mattresses, everything that was household, running back up the hill. And we were like, where are these guys getting all these things? Where are they getting all these things? Maybe we should probe ourselves and find out where it's all coming. So, of course, my dad and my mom were not around. But it was a dangerous time, You could be shot, you could be killed, because when you walked out of your compound or you walked out of the barracks, you were on your own. Sometimes you met dead bodies on the street. Sometimes you found people killing each other. You just found there was always something. It was never a peaceful day. Every day was uncertain. You just lived through it, And I so remember clearly that once we set our foot out to go and do this, to go and loot, in Kiseka. Kiseka market then was a very open place, there were no spare parts shops like you have today. There was a school on one side, Green Valley Primary School, and opposite it was Chago Road Primary, and then next to Chago Road there was Riverside Theatre. And I remember we passed through Riverside Theatre and we entered. We sneaked into the back of Kiseka Market, And right there, while people were running away with all kinds of commodities, we just landed for bagia. And my brother had this craving for this Indian snack, the bagia thing, that we took so much bagia and we ran back home. But because we were just kids, and no one would be troubled with you taking bagia. Of course, what are you going to do with it besides eating it? The most people who participated in the looting were adults or bigger boys. So for us being 6 and 4, we were misplaced.